Good morning and welcome to this week's devotional series. We've been in our book, Living and Loving Like Jesus. And this week we're going to look at the topic of risk. I don't know if you've ever been in a moment where you knew you were taking a risk. Sometimes we do, right? There can be a little bit of heart pounding or some nervousness that creeps in or some questions or doubt about what's happening or what we're doing. Because when we are inside our comfort zones, things aren't all that scary, but when we start to take risks, especially risks that we're not used to taking, that can cause us to get a little bit more anxious. And what I want to start out with this morning is a quote from this book that helps to understand a little bit of what the author's trying to convey here with the word risk by using another word to help us to see that. And I'll read it this way. The author says, "But a life of ministry, of learning to love and focus on others, transcending the natural self-focus which weighs down our lives, takes intentionality. Beyond that, it takes courage." John Wimber, a founder of the Vineyard Movement, famously said that faith is spelled R-I-S-K. In other words, we often practice our faith by doing things we aren't entirely comfortable with. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And I have found that, especially for me, that has been just so true. And there's so many different ways to take risks, though. You can take risks by being more generous or sharing more of your home and being more hospitable, by serving those who may be different than you or in a situation way different than yours. Maybe speaking or sharing the gospel into the lives of other people who you believe truly need it. Maybe even being in a vulnerable position, maybe sharing some of the hurt that's been going on in your life with someone who you think could benefit from that. There's all these different ways of which we can take risks. And part of the way we know that we're taking a risk is if there's a cost, it's probably a risk. Because most of the time, it's easier to keep the things that we have and hold on to and stay in our safety bubbles than it is. It's way easier than to ever try to give those things up and give them away. And so what I want to do with this morning is just to encourage you to look for moments to take risk. I remember when I used to work part-time at the Shop and Save in Cranberry, and every time before I would go in for my shift, I would always ask the Lord, Lord, be with me in this time, may I be loving and serving of those around me. But one night, right before I got in, I said, Lord, open up doors for me to share, my testimony with somebody. And wouldn't you know it, that night, at least 3 people kind of said, hey, what's your story? Hey, tell me about who you are. And I got to share my coming to faith with them. And I don't know if those things ever really panned out or, what those things did, but it was an opportunity where I said, okay, Lord, I want to look for moments to take some risk, to step out of my comfort zone, maybe, more than I normally am. And to, with my coworkers, have an opportunity to share my faith with them. So that's what I want to encourage you on this first day, is look for moments, look for opportunities, especially this week, to take some risks. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys here this morning, and I hope it was a helpful start to your week.